World War I, Hitler served as a Gefreiter in the Austrian army. Traditionally, existing since the middle of the 16th century, a Gefreiter was the German, Swiss, or Austrian equivalent to a soldier holding the rank of private. However, during World War I and World War II, a Gefreiter held the approximate rank of Lance Corporal, with the full equivalent of a British corporal being held by the Unteroffizier. He spent much of his time in the army at a comparatively safe distance from the front lines, often drawing cartoons, pictures, and instructions for the local German army newspaper. Despite his lack of time on the front lines, he was present at many larger-scale battles, including the First Battle of Ypres, the Battle of the Somme, the Battle of Arras, and the Battle of Passchendaele. He was left wounded in the leg by a bombshell that had exploded while fighting in Belitz, and he was temporarily blinded by mustard gas while fighting in Pasewalk. While recovering from his blindness, he learnt of German defeat and loss of World War I. Like many other German soldiers, Hitler believed in the Dolchstoßlegende, or the stab-in-the-back legend. This was the belief that the German army, nearly undefeated in its battles, was stabbed in the back by, as Hitler put it, spineless civilian leaders and Marxists. On the home front, they were later nicknamed the November Criminals. Hitler received many awards for his bravery in the war, including the Black Wound Badge and Iron Cross, second class, in 1914. He would later receive the Iron Cross, first class, in 1918.
Hitler's political career began in Munich when he joined the German Workers' Party, or DAP, a tiny group of extreme nationalists and anti-Semites who saw their role as trying to win over German workers from the Internationalist Social Democratic Party and, in the aftermath of defeat and revolution, to persuade people that Jews were primarily responsible for Germans' plight. In July 1921, he took over the leadership of the party, by then renamed the Nationalist Socialist German Workers' Party, or NSDAP. And, less than 12 years later, it had become the largest party in Germany, and Hitler was Reich Chancellor.
Hitler's personality was considered by many, on a personal level, very bizarre. Meanwhile, his choices and decisions when leading the Third Reich were very obviously immoral and without regard for human worth or value. Hitler is regarded, on psychiatric standpoints and others, as a megalomaniac, as shown from his attempts to bend the entire world to submission under Germany. It is suggested that Hitler's drive for dominance began as a root sometime during his childhood, such as when he became fixated on warfare shortly after discovering a book on war in his father's study. Hitler's brother, Edmund, died from the measles when Hitler was only 11 years old. People who used to know Hitler, and many historians, claim that this event changed Hitler from being confident and outgoing and an excellent student to a morose, detached, and sullen boy who constantly fought with his fathers and teachers. He also seemed strangely nationalistic to Germany during his childhood. He expressed a lack of sympathy for the declining Habsburg monarchy during its last years, with his friends often using the German greeting Heil and singing the German anthem Deutschland über alles instead of the Austrian imperial anthem. It was this superiority complex, and others, that fueled his ambition to gaining more Lebensraum, or living space, for the German people. Though he was an undeniably smart man, there is no doubt, and to no extent, to which upsetting and traumatic childhood events told upon Hitler, leading him to become the man he lives in today as in infamy. Anti-Semitism is the discrimination against, even to the point of violent persecution, of Jews. Different approaches and actions based on anti-Semitism have occurred throughout the world history, from the captivity and slavery of ancient Jews in Egypt to the Spanish Inquisition during the reign of Ferdinand and Isabella. A strong foundation of anti-Semitism was also present during Hitler's movements of expansionism against Europe and even against humanity as a whole. Hitler has always believed that the Jews and the Slavs were the great enemies of the German people. In his book, Mein Kampf, Hitler discusses his views on what he states as the Endlösung der Judenfrage, or final solution to the Jewish question. Initially, he spoke of deporting all Jews, Slavs, and others deemed undesirable to Siberia to work on camps and forced labor. However, in 1942, as the war continued and conditions for every country in Europe went from push to shove, Hitler revised his plans for the undesirables. Instead of deporting some and killing the others, Hitler decided simply to kill them all. Ultimately, Hitler, along with other members of the Nazi High Command, re-implemented the biggest demonstration of anti-Semitism in all of history, which came to be known as the Holocaust. Although the true extent of the horrors committed by the Nazis towards the Jews would not be revealed until after the war's end, when the many stories of endured horrors would finally come to light.
In Mein Kampf, Hitler used the main thesis of the Jewish peril, which speaks of an alleged Jewish conspiracy to gain world leadership. The narrative describes the process by which he became increasingly anti-Semitic and militaristic. In his work, Hitler blamed Germany's chief woes on the parliament of the Weimar Republic, the Jews, and Social Democrats, as well as Marxists. He announced that he wanted to completely destroy the parliamentary system, believing it in principle to be corrupt, as those who reach power are inherent opportunists.
The National Socialist German Workers' Party, commonly known in English as the Nazi Party, evolved from the German Workers' Party and existed as a political party in Germany between 1920 and 1945. Hitler reluctantly joined the organization after being persistently asked, and was soon passionate about the party. He was immediately asked to join the executive committee and was later appointed to the propaganda manager. Hitler often gave speeches in order to fundraise for the party, which conditioned his speaking skills and made him into the outstanding public speaker he was. In 1921, Hitler claimed leadership of the party, ousting his predecessor who had no choice but to resign. The NSDAP, led by Hitler, believed that the Aryan race was superior to all other alien races, and spoke against intermarriage. His plan included Jews and other minorities to lose their rights of citizenship, and all immigration of non-Germans should be brought to an end. Hitler utilized propaganda to convey his political message to the non-intellectual population of Germany. His campaign posters and other advertisements were simplistic and appealed to the emotions of the people. Hitler often used cartoons as a vehicle to communicate to the general public. Many of Hitler's propaganda cartoons depicted him as a man of peace, but also determined to reclaim lost territories. Propaganda helped boost Hitler's image of being both charismatic, brave, and a man of the people. By advertising negative propaganda of the Jewish community, Hitler saw a spike in anti-Semitic feelings, which often led to violence directed at the Jews. Hitler's propaganda also targeted communists, grouping them together with the Jews as scapegoats for the economic issues in Germany. Anti-Bolshevik and anti-communist posters united Germany against the USSR and Stalin.